Welcome back. We are back with Double Bill Podcasts with my boys Jacob and Justin, the J and J. Welcome back. It's been a minute, over a month. We've had lots of people being busy, so we apologize to our two listeners out there. Hopefully we get more people listening, but we apologize for people that were waiting. And today we're going to change up the format for Double Bill to kind of help us out because we have a busy schedule. I don't think it's going to be 2 movies a week anymore. I think it's going to kind of fit with our schedule, but we will definitely hopefully keep everyone up to date on what we are doing through social media and all that. But today we are going to be talking about the 2021 movie year, more specifically all 3 of our top 10 movies of 2021. These are going to be a very cool list that you can find on Letterboxd if you follow our Letterboxd, and it's going to be an exciting time. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and just introduce Jacob and Justin. Say what's up, guys.
How's it going, man? It's a bright Thursday morning, and I'm ready to talk about movies. How you doing today, Justin?
Hey, it's even brighter on the beach. Look at that. Getting a little
Shit, man.
getting a little red on my neck all of a sudden, you know?
Is that Vin Diesel back there behind you?
Exactly. You see
Sipping on
Snoop
a
Dogg with his
Corona?
Corona? Yeah, Snoop Dogg's back there with his Corona as well. It's a familia happening out here.
All right. Without even wasting this much time. So
Hey,
you're
Brie
just
Larson coming to the Fast family, and we got Jason Momoa. Come on, guys. Fast 10. Where's the Oscar? Give it already. This is
Give
gonna be
it
the fan
already.
favorite. Fast 10 fan favorite of the year. I'm calling it right now. We're gonna get the fan favorite next year.
As long as we don't have a Snyder film, that's
I'll bet
fine.
I'll bet your camera on it, Justin.
Is there a Zack Snyder film coming out this year? If there is, that's the Oscar fan favorite.
I
Boys.
certainly hope so, man.
That shit was
All right.
crazy. That man swept the Oscars.
Hey, now you got to
swept
call him a two-time Academy Award winning,
it.
two-time Academy Award winner, Zack Snyder.
Army of the
Back
Dead.
to back.
Army of the
Within
Dead.
10 minutes.
That shit's crazy. All
You
right.
know who's
all
not
right.
a two-time Academy Award winner? Denis Villeneuve, because he didn't get nominated. Sucks. Hashtag sorry.
Trying to make this a bad podcast today, Justin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
I'm
to bring violence.
about to kick you out. I'm about to kick you out. You say some
I'm sorry.
slander like that again. Goodness.
Sorry. The Oscars have spoken.
This man will sit here
They
and
did speak. He got nominated for every category.
all in a span of 1 minute. This man praised Fast and Furious and shit on Denis Villeneuve all within
It's
1
a
minute.
joke. It's a prank, bro. I'm sorry. I will keep Denis out of my mouth. I'm sorry.
Goodness
Please.
gracious.
I'll
Keep
him out
my
of my.
Denis out your fucking mouth.
Could you imagine if Denis Villeneuve directed Fast and Furious? I feel like
It'd be the greatest cinematic
the
experience ever.
greatest
You get 4D.
cinematic experience of all time. There'd be nothing better. Nothing. But all right, we're getting sidetracked. So to start off the top 10, we're going to give a little bit of retrospective. Some of us our top 10s are rated in different ways. So I'll start off by kind of explaining how I look at my top 10. You know, I may rate a movie a 4 or 4.5 on Letterboxd, but it may not be in the top 10, and I may have a 3-star or 3.5 in my top 10. I base my top 10 off of how much I enjoyed that movie, how much I love that movie, and the rewatchability, and just my overall connection to the film. It has nothing to do with the craft. It has nothing to do with the perfection of the film or how fantastic it is. You know, I respect the way Wes Anderson's French Dispatch was made, and I think that's one of the more well-made movies of the year. It could have been in my top 10, but I just didn't connect to it that much. And so that's kind of where all this comes from. So what about you guys? How do you guys rate your top 10?
I'll let you go, Justin.
Rating my top 10, like in terms of what do I feel, or what do you mean?
Like,
Why'd you rate it the way you
yeah.
did?
So like I just said, I rated mine based off of feeling and resonance to me. How do you
I mean,
rate?
yeah, that's the same as mine. I mean, I would never show this list to, you know, if Roger Ebert was still alive and be like, hey, can I have a job at rogerebert.com? Here's my top 10 list of last year. He'd be like, you're a joke.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is more of me being like, what movies did I have the best time in? And I came out as soon as credits rolled and go, that was a movie. That was cinema right there. Like to me, that's what this list is to me. These are movies that like knocked me off my socks. And
Yeah,
I'm looking at the list now. Three of them I had no interest in seeing at all. And then they snuck up on you, and next thing you know, they're on your top 10 list. So for
yeah.
me, these are the ones that like knocked my socks off.
Oh yeah. Jacob.
Absolutely. Uh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
This man been making films. He's tired. I see it.
A little tired. Yeah, I ranked my films just sort of by how well I think it accomplished what it was trying to do. And that also just sort of that intermingles with how well did the director connect with me as the audience, because that is, you know, their end goal is to be able to connect with their audience. So I feel like I got a really interesting top 10.
Yeah.
I got a couple familiar faces in there for my Oscar lovers, but yeah, no, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah. I remember whenever I was first started watching movies, I had a top 10 that was like, it was literally like every single best picture almost, because I hadn't seen that many movies that year. All I saw was the best picture nominees, and like 8 out of the 10 movies in my top 10 were best picture nominees. And I was like, man, I really was just a student, like just starting out, man. So I'm happy with my list nowadays, but let's get it going. Let's get it going. Let's start off with you. Who wants to start off? Or do
I'll
you guys
start.
want, you want to do your retrospective really quick, Jake, Justin?
I
Well,
want to do my perspective.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to say, like, the year of 2021, coming off the heels of 2020, which I still don't think was a terrible year for film. I think you still had some good ones. But 2021, I think, was the moment that most people were like, if we're gonna delay our movies, we could work on them a little bit better. Maybe throw a little more money on reshoots and things like that. Maybe throw a little more money on visual effects. And I think it really worked out because this year wasn't too shabby for movies. So I just want to talk about really quickly at least five movies. Hold. Judas and the Black Messiah, I want to give a shout out to. I really, really like that film a lot. Had one of the best trailers I had ever seen in my life. The first trailer for Judas and the Black Messiah is edited so beautifully, and that film was great too. Lakeith and Daniel killed it. Wrath of Man from Guy Ritchie was just like the most intense film I saw all year. But it was if I had a top 11, Wrath of Man would probably be number 11. Those Who Wish Me Dead from Taylor Sheridan. I love every single movie he's done. I haven't hated one film, haven't even just been mediocre on one film. And I thought this film was even better than Wind River. Controversial, I know. But I really dug that film a lot. Spiral from the Book of Saw. I thought as a continuation of the Saw franchise, it's not the greatest, but it's certainly still a good horror film. And the final 5 minutes of that film is perfection. I love everything about the final 5 minutes and some of the traps. Um, the Tragedy of Macbeth was a film I saw in IMAX, and it was the most beautiful looking film I'd ever seen in my life. The 4:3 aspect ratio, seeing it that tall presented was I can't even process that I still saw that, and it was incredible. Could have been a little bit longer because the story of Macbeth is gajillion pages, and they wrapped it up in about 90 minutes, and there were a lot of points where I was like, you could keep going, but okay. And then last one, Dune. I really like Dune. I'm not a fan of cutting movies in two parts. I don't like it when Deathly Hallows does it. Harry Potter, I don't like it when Hunger Games does it. It just seems cheap, but I get it. There's a lot of material to tell. You can't have an audience sit through a 4-hour movie. I get it. Still would like to see part one and part two. So when they do the box set of part one and part two, I'll probably rate Dune a 10 out of 10. But as of right now, it missed the list because it's not a complete film. But whatever. I get it. I understand why people love it.
You make me laugh because out of 5 movies, 4 of them got praise, and then you get to Dune and you just shit on it. You're like, I'm not a fan.
It's not a complete film. Like
It's an honorable mention because I hate it.
it's an honorable mention because I appreciate what it's doing for cinema, but I also acknowledge you like
Justin,
got-
cut movies
Justin
in
just
half.
wanted to show respect to how much he hates Denis Villeneuve. It's okay. Man.
That's twice in one podcast. All
I
right,
don't
what's
I
up,
don't hate
Jacob?
the man. I got love.
All right. Yeah, just to give my my honorable five. I got at the 15, just moving down, I got Zola, and then I got No Time to Die, Come On, French Dispatch on the Last Duel. I think honestly, my personal favorites out of just the five that I listed was Zola, I'm sorry, and probably No Time to Die, which is weird. 'Cause I've liked the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, but this is the first time that I really liked Daniel Craig James Bond movie. It felt a little different to the action genres. What it did, it felt authentic. It tried to get genuine emotions, which was really cool. Come on. I was so disappointed it didn't get more of an Oscar run because it didn't get nominated at all, but it would have been cool to see one at least. But yeah, that's my honorable five.
For me, I'd have to give a shout out to Swan Song, Last Duel, French Dispatch, West Side Story, and Stillwater. Those five right there, kind of. Honestly, with my top 10, the final 10, I mean the number 10 slot, I'm like trading off. I just don't know. Whenever I say my number 10, it's just gonna be like, I feel like any of these other five movies could have been right there, but I'm like, this one had that rewatchability for me that I'm like,
Yeah.
I could revisit that. But yeah, those five, I think out of those five, my favorite would have to be The Last Duel. Although Stillwater was, in my opinion, a pretty underrated film out there. I know it was a little too long, but it was very underrated. But The Last Duel is just a nice little Rashomon
Yeah, man.
like callback. And
It is Rashomon, man.
it's like there's issues with the film. It's like, man, but at the same time, it's like, God, Ridley Scott is
Whenever he's on it, he's on it.
he is the greatest. It's like at moments in that film, you're like, this is the greatest living director of all time. Like Martin Scorsese, who, Spielberg, who, like, you're like, God, this is the guy that made Alien. This is the guy that made Blade Runner. Like, holy shit. And then there's other,
Gucci.
yeah, then you have other moments that are like, what? What's going? It's like the color palette in The Last Duel works so well, but he basically uses the same color palette in House of Gucci, and it's like, oh no. But yeah, so let's dive deep into it, Justin. Let's go. You're number 10. Let's get into it.
Number
hey,
10.
Don't turn off the podcast, but I'm coming out swinging. It's
Oh,
Fast
God.
10.
Oh God.
Oh, God.
Or no, sorry.
Fun
10,
fact,
Fast 9.
Justin, I wanted to see where Fast 10 was on my just 2021
Fast 9. Fast
ranked.
9.
Sorry,
Fast
9. I want to see where that was on my 2021 ranked. It was dead last.
Look,
Dude,
and
It's
that's
for me, it's right in front of Escape Room, Don't Breathe 2, and Halloween Kills.
like F9 beat Snake Eyes, Chaos Walking, and The Conjuring. That movie was so bad, bro.
okay. So you know when they tell you all film is subjective, the most subjective opinion out there. So
I love it. I
the-
love it. I love
so
it.
the quickest backstory in the world. I've been with Fast and Furious as a franchise since Tokyo Drift
Everyone
and really
has.
Fast and Furious. I had
It's a
all
ride or
three
die,
DVD.
man.
I had all three DVDs of The Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, and Tokyo Drift, leading up to Fast and Furious #4. And ever since 2008, 2009-ish, I've been with this franchise. I've seen every single one of them in theaters. And coming off the heels of Fate of the Furious, which I think is probably the worst Fast and Furious movie, because I don't count Hobbs and Shaw as a Fast and Furious movie. That's a whatever film. This was a huge return to form. We got Justin Lin back as the director, who hadn't directed since Fast and Furious 6. And I mean, call it cliche, but he brought back the Familia. Familia is back now. And then we're going into Fast 10 with Jason and Bree. I'm excited. I can't wait to see where we go. I don't know where we go, but I can't wait. Vin Diesel's crazy. He's got ideas in his head and he wants to bring this franchise into another two-parter. So again, we're gonna have Fast 10 Part 1 and Fast 10 Part 2. I can't stand it. I don't like it, but
You better,
Yeah, I was about to ask.
you better hate that part 1. you better hate that part
Better
one with
shit on it, man.
all power in the world. You better
I
hate
can't wait
it.
for whenever it comes out and he gets the 5-star. And just be like, I wish there was a 6-star button I could have given him. That's gonna be you, man.
I mean, look,
But Dune, real
look,
cinema.
there's an exception to every rule, okay?
Oh my
Fast
god.
10 would break that rule.
Fast 10 would do it. The family would do it for me. So that's my number 10. I'm sticking by it. I don't care what anybody says. You can put it on your worst stuff list. That's cool. I'm
What
putting
if
it on the best stuff.
what if Justice League gets its part two? Because technically, Zack Snyder's Justice League is a part one. Did you hate that movie?
HBO will never, ever, ever restore the Snyderverse.
But
Guaranteed.
I'm saying you should hate the Snyder's cut
Yeah.
because it's a part one. It's a 4-hour part one.
It's the
That's a
best 4-hour
4-hour
part
part
you've ever
one.
seen. No, because then you're gonna have this conversation over and over again. And it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna
All
spiral
right,
down.
Jacob, you're 10.
My 10. Going strong with my 10. I got 9 days. I think the standout for that movie, which really, put it on the pedestal for 10 for me, was just, the performances. I think that Winston Duke, Zazie Beetz, and Bill Skarsgård, they sort of, they play along just this philosophy of humanity, rebirth, creation, death, and destruction. Just, finding the meaning of life. And I think that it really put this great nuanced juxtaposition towards how we view not only death but life in a way that if it felt like a fresh new approach, and it was awesome, man. That was my art house cinema film of the year for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw it with you. Man, I think I
Didn't
might have.
hit you.
Yeah, no, but I did respect it. It had great performances. My number 10, again, this one just interchanges with the other honorable mentions, but I think this one I just connected to, and the rewatchability goes to Tick Tick Boom. I really, really enjoyed that film. I've been an Andrew Garfield fan forever. I'm almost certain I've seen all of his movies except for like 3 of them. And he just amazes me every time. I'm like, a superhero actor, Spider-Man, can actually like go and do something, like go and do something normal. Like most actors, very rare that actors like get out of that superhero role. Luckily, I wouldn't say luckily, but he had I guess I don't know the right word. His got canceled, so he kind of didn't get super famous from that Spider-Man. A lot of people didn't know his except for hardcore fans. So he was able to go and do Silence. He was able to go and do Tick Tick Boom. He was able to go do all these other movies, and he's just kind of been killing it. I think and this film right here just kind of has some good moments, some good songs that kind of really make you cry. I think the story and the directing is okay, but I think Andrew Garfield put on like top 3 performance of the year for me. That was just like, he really embodied this guy. So I stick that one in there at number 10. All right, Justin, number 9.
Number 9 is a movie that I had no intentions on seeing, could care less. I was like, if this movie flies under the radar, so be it. And then I watched it and I was like, this is actually one of the best movies I've seen in a while. And that's Cyrano. Cyrano is a movie that apparently nobody saw except me and 3 other people in a theater. Because it's a musical, which is already a hard sell. And there's another musical on my list as well, actually 2 of them, but this one is the one that I feel like nobody knew this story going in, even though in every interview I've ever heard, they go, "Oh, you're readapting Cyrano, the story. Is he gonna have a big nose?" No, in this one, Peter Dinklage's disability is his height, which I thought was really interesting to go instead of having a big nose like Cyrano does in most plays. But the music in this one is what caught it for me. Soon as I got in the car from this film, I turned on the soundtrack, which I never do. But for this one, I thought their music was great. Peter Dinklage's voice is incredible. His performance is amazing. I'm totally happy with Will Smith. Or no, sorry. No, is Cyrano a 2021 film? Yes, it is, right? I'm totally happy with Will Smith winning. I would have liked to see Peter Dinklage get a nomination because I thought he was just as good as any of the other five people. So for me, this film will stand the test of time, and I'll probably go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
I know you guys didn't get a chance to see Cyrano, but if you do, and you come across it on whatever streaming services out there, highly recommend Cyrano for you.
I mean, I definitely wanted to go see it, and I probably will watch it whenever it releases at home. But the reason most people didn't go see it is because it had arguably one of the worst campaigns in recent history. It just
But
got
I don't
pushed.
think your movie has to have a great campaign. I just
Well,
think you
I'm
have to have
saying,
word of mouth.
well, that's what I'm saying is they kept on pushing it back. This was to come out in November, then December, then January, and then it finally hit the end of February, and nominations were already out. People had to get on to see it. That was why it didn't get nominated because they just kept pushing it. So that's what I'm saying. It just had one of the worst campaigns for people to go see it. But
I'll be
luckily,
honest.
you went to go see it.
I'll be
They
honest, I was
did.
so surprised. I thought I missed the deadline for 2021 'cause it kept getting pushed back. I was
Yeah.
flabbergasted to see it on the
Remember,
nomination list.
remember how American Sniper came out in 2000, I think 15, but it still made the nominations list. But that's because people had already seen it. They kept on showing it at festivals and all that shit. Cyrano, literally, no one had seen the film, like no one, and they just
They
kept
do
pushing it.
the New York and LA for Christmas, and that qualifies them because you play in, I don't know, 5 theaters, and then you get to have your rollout release on Martin Luther King weekend.
Yeah, but Jacob, number 9.
Number 9.
It'd be so cool if your number 9 was 9 days. That would have been cool. Sorry, go
That would
ahead.
have been cool.
Or
It
your
was
number 9 was Fast Nine.
it was 9 days briefly, but my number 9. Shut the fuck up, Justin. My number 9 is Tragedy of Macbeth. This is a weird movie to me, man. Like it's so great, especially with how Joel Cohen directs it and just creates this minimalistic, just sort of structural design that the characters interact with. I mean, just it feels like a fever dream of a movie, and yet it's so real. Um, and I mean, it's you can tell Joel, he put in just this tedious amount of work and design into adapting Shakespeare's play into the silver screen. I think that this is one of the definitive versions of how to tell tragedy of Macbeth. There was kind of one little nitpick for it, and it felt that sometimes Denzel didn't embody the role of Macbeth as much as he should have, and I think that a lot of that sort of plays into um, speaking the old English, because the entire script, it was still in that old English. It wasn't updated and adapted to modern English, and you see that with pretty much all of the characters. I think Frances McDermott was the one who fucking slayed it the best. She had her girl boss moment with this movie, and they get a single nom for it. It's fucked up, but I don't know. It's just whenever you're speaking old English, that's dead ass. That's speaking another language. And so being able to properly have that, fluency within it, it's hard to do. Sometimes the fact that we are modern day, that shines through the actors, but Denzel, he was at a disability because he has the most lines. Everybody else has a fraction of what he has, so it's a different playing field. But other than that, I mean, it's not that he didn't completely crush it. He did an amazing job. That was just one nitpick.
Awesome. My number 9 had to be No Time to Die. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge James Bond guy. Still need to watch all the movies. Was trying to, but just got super busy and just couldn't watch
There's a lot of them.
20 something movies that were sexist and racist and all that. It's hard to watch them sometimes. They are some good older films, but and the ones that I have seen, and the Daniel Craig ones, No Time to Die for sure sticks out the most because I think I look at it as the least James Bond film of them all. That is, if you watch that film, that is not the James Bond that you might know and recognize. James Bond is in love. James Bond has a kid. Spoiler. James Bond has a like. It's an emotional journey rather than this spy epic action flick that you're supposed to, kind of kick back and enjoy. And I really enjoyed that new take. I thought that was kind of different, and it hit me. I was like, at first watching the film, and I'm like, I don't know. This is kind of weird. I don't know if I like seeing James Bond have a heart. I don't know if I like seeing that. I just want to see him kick some ass. But as the movie kept going on, and it just kept getting more emotional, and you knew the end was near for Daniel Craig, it was like, oh shit. And then the moment where he chooses to stay on the island is like the moment where like tears start to fall. And you're like, oh fuck, they really are
Gonna kill off the first James Bond.
yeah, they're gonna kill James Bond. Like, oh fuck. Like theoretically and actually killing Daniel Craig's James Bond. Like, it is over. He will never come back. I was like, fuck, dude, you can't do that to me. Like, at least Christopher Nolan gave me a thought that Christian Bale could come back. No, James Bond, Daniel Craig is gone. And
He got blown the fuck up. He ain't coming back.
did you know the island that they were on? I can't remember what it's called or whatever, but the people that are on that island, they laid a gravestone there for James Bond
Oh, for this,
where he died. Yeah,
that's
I thought
awesome.
I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's my number 9. All right, Justin, number 8.
For me, number 8 is Stillwater. I saw the runtime for this movie and got scared. Didn't even know really what it was about. I was just like, we're gonna spend 2.5 hours in France. And then as I was watching it, this story moved at an incredibly fast pace for certain scenes. And then in other ones, I was like, we could chop this most definitely. But spending time with that family, to me, when the reveal comes that the cops are on to Matt Damon, they know what he's doing. And you see that he's trying to go out of his way to protect this family because all he wants to do is protect his daughter. To me, it's the second best family story of the year. And I loved everything about it. I love that character of Matt Damon. I feel like I know people like that. People who wear their hat that way, people who have that goatee. He just embodied people of like the South, like just dudes who have 9 to 5 jobs, go home, watch Fox News, go to bed. Like that's who he reminded me of. And it was probably one of the better performances I saw this year. Again, no disrespect to Will Smith or Denzel or anybody else who got a best Benedict Cumberbatch, but I do think there could have been room for Matt Damon in Stillwater for best actor of the year.
Mhm. No, I mean, see, it's so funny that you like Stillwater, and then whenever I try to put you on some French New Wave, you're like, I don't really know. Like that is French New Wave.
I know I like shocked. I like shocked myself. I was like, there's a hot take. He's like 2.5 hours in France. And I'm like, yeah.
There's a lot of good movies that do that, man.
I mean, yeah.
Don't
but
let the
I-
French see this podcast.
And this is an American film. No, I'm kidding. I love that movie too. I love Stillwater. I believe, yeah, I have it on Blu-ray. It's
Dude,
a-
sorry, you go.
no, I was just gonna say
Oh.
the only knack against it is that it is just a little too long. If it
I
was
will
shorter.
say though, I think that film had one of the most tense moments this year
Yes.
with just how that entire thing was playing out, man.
Yes.
I felt so much anxiety. That
Yeah.
was great
When
directing.
when he had the little girl with him as he's about to like track this guy down and
Yeah,
kidnap,
and
like
he's got her down the basement
for like 20 minutes, you were just on another planet with tension. Like, yeah, no,
Yeah, man.
it's an underrated film, but
Had me clawing at my seat. I was like, Jesus Christ, he's really doing this right now.
yeah, like, it's like, damn, he finally got a new life. He's a better person. He's moved on, and then bam, right back in, and you're like, oh, dude, no, please, please. Your heart starts pounding. But
Yeah.
number 8, Jacob.
Michael Sarnowski's Pig. You know, we know Nicolas Cage. We know he likes weird, and this film is weird, but it's endearing, man. It really stuck with me. I didn't know if I loved it or I hated it right after I saw the movie. I just had to let it mull over and just digest with me. And as time went on, the more good things I had to say about it, that eventually it crept all the way up to number 8, which is something I did not expect this year, was to see a Nicolas Cage movie at number 8. But I mean, he's been on a great track, man. Because he had Mandy come out, that was 2 years ago, or was that last year?
I never saw it.
I think it's 2 years ago. But yeah, also Alex Wolff, I think that he is proving that he is one of my favorite actors working today. It's always so fun to watch a man or whatever he's doing. But this entire film, like it took like that John Wick revenge story and just threw it on its head in this subversive, cerebral, but also hilariously weird way. It was just it hit all the right notes. It did exactly what it needed to in a way that just it stood tall above everything else. I loved it so much.
Yeah, yeah. I think that for me was like the same thing with 9 Days. I was like, man, this is like independent cinema right here, man. Like, I think I was like more confused by the movie than like hit by it, but I did like it. I did. Anything Nick Cage is in, I like. But my number 8 would have to be Last Night in Soho. I was kind of saw it in Dolby. I think everyone was there. That movie blew my socks off. I was like completely like, fuck, Edgar Wright is the man. It's like it's one of those movies that's like one of those moments, like I was saying about Ridley Scott, like that's like, this might be the greatest director alive right now. Like some of the shit that he does is just like top notch, and it's like, wow. And then he put together a story that kind of just really resonated with me in terms of dreams, in terms of longing for the past and all that stuff. That was really well put together. It is predictable at some moments. I don't think I predicted that ending and that twist at the end, but there are moments that's like pretty predictable. But overall, that was a very intense film for me as well. In terms of directing, I think I'll stick with you on Stillwater, Jacob. I think the most tense scene of the year goes to Stillwater, but Last Night in Soho kind of keeps a good flow going for tension and building it up throughout the entire film. And I really enjoyed it. Number 7, Justin.
Number 7 is West Side Story. I was watching the original leading up to this one, and truth be told, I only made it halfway through, and I was like, maybe this story just isn't for me. I couldn't connect to it for some odd reason. So I walked into Spielberg's version, and when I walked into his version, something clicked with me. The story finally resonated with me in a way that the original didn't. And I couldn't put my finger on it until the credits rolled, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks. And that was, you're in the hands of Spielberg. And I just felt so at home when I was doing that. I was like, oh, I'm with Papa Spielberg. He's going to take good care of me. And he led me on that journey through West Side Story. And I was taken aback, man. Everything he did in that film, you can't poke a hole in. It's flawless from beginning to end to me. The balcony scene is my personal favorite, with Ansel and Rachel. And I think it was one of the best and sweetest moments I'd seen on film that year. I love that song that they sing. I love the song he sings before he even goes to see her, called Maria. The actor who plays his friend, who I don't know, and I can't look his name up because I don't know it.
Jack Feist.
Jack Feist. Jeez, Lord mercy, Jack Hyde. That dude is phenomenal. Like, needs more work ASAP.
Yeah.
He was the huge standout of that film. Or no, Mike Feist.
Mike Feist. Yeah, Mike
Yes.
Feist.
And Mike Feist is freaking phenomenal, man. He has a scene with Ansel Elgort about the gun, and their choreography during that scene, phenomenal. Loved it. I could watch that forever and ever. So West Side Story, bold movie, no subtitles during any of the Spanish sequences. Spielberg really just said, let me take care of you for 2.5 hours, and I promise I'm gonna lead you to glory. And by the time the credits rolled, I was like, I'm satisfied. Thanks, Spielberg. You got a career in Hollywood, Spielberg. Keep going.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I loved West Side Story. I think West Side Story might be the best directed movie of the year, next to Dune. I between those two, it's like, which one you got? And
Mhm.
then Mike Feist had never
Shit.
acted in movies before. He was a play guy. But number 7, Jacob.
Oh man, number 7. I'm bringing it back to, or I'm bringing it to my man Hamaguchi. Drive My Car, man. That was a trip. There's so many cool moments about that film. Like to have your opening credits 45 minutes in, after telling what this entire segment that could be a film on its own, and then dive dive like diving into the events that transpired from that first act, and continuing forward as we do with grief and things that happened. I don't know if y'all seen it, but um
I missed 3 films this year, which were The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Power of the Dog, and Drive My Car. So your recommendation will sell me on it.
well, there is a hidden performance in there, which I think is the best supporting actor role for 2021, and that is Masaki Okada's performance. He has presence, man. He's that domineering figure over our main characters' life throughout the film, because of how they know each other, how they've become acquainted in ways that either one of them know or don't know. Um, the whole film, it dissects the terms of grief, death, and being able to pick up the pieces and move on. But it does it in a way that's diegetic, and it does it in a way that feels fresh and new to the audience. I think that with the Oscars this year, we felt a lot of familiarity with genre, but you know, they take these conventions and they do something new with it in a way that you get to be able to dissect a new piece of what is art, what is storytelling, and this is a definitive film that takes that staple and makes it its own.
Yeah, that's another one that I missed. But also, yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely need to watch it.
I had to be careful talking about it because I didn't want to get that spoilers for y'all whenever y'all eventually get around to it. But
Yeah.
Now you told
that's
me
a
the
great film.
credits pop up 40 minutes into the movie, man.
Can't beat the shit out of me.
Spoiled.
Yeah,
Spoiled.
yeah. Spoils.
God.
My number 7. I think this one is my hot take of the year. I found out that not many people really liked it, but I really enjoyed it.
Don't Look Up's coming.
It's The Card Counter, Oscar Isaac. Kind of flew under the radar, wasn't highly well received.
Hey, you know who likes Card Counter? Paul Schrader. Have you seen that man's Facebook page?
Oh yeah, his number 1 film is The Card Counter. Yeah. Paul Schrader, man, what a guy. Taxi driver,
He's
writer.
hilarious.
First Reformed is fantastic. For me, The Card Counter was it was kind of mesmerizing because the entire time I think for me it's all in Oscar Isaac's performance. I genuinely enjoyed a movie in which you had no idea who the main character was. You get no backstory, you get no idea what kind of person he is, how he's going to react. You kind of just watch him grow and unfold the story. And to me, that's storytelling, watching a story unfold. And The Card Counter kind of just did that with Oscar Isaac's character. His life just starts unfolding, but you still can't predict his next move. And I thought that was extremely mesmerizing and just phenomenal filmmaking, in my opinion. The issues with the film just lie kind of with Tiffany Haddish's performance. That was kind of like, I don't know. That one felt weird.
I actually disagree. She was my favorite part of the movie.
Ty Sheridan was phenomenal to me. Willem Dafoe, as always, is phenomenal. Willem Dafoe is kind of a trip in that movie as well. And yeah, for me, it was Tiffany Haddish's performance. And then a little bit of the cinematography was just a little too basic, but it does have some fantastic moments. with a fisheye lens. It has some good, like the night scenes and the casino scenes look fantastic, but then sometimes he'll go outside in the daytime and it looks kind of like, I don't know. But yeah, I really was, that movie's a trip for me. Kind of boring for some people. I think you might like it, Jacob. I think that movie's right up your alley. But yeah, it for me it wasn't boring. For an hour and a half, I was all for it. Number 5, Justin.
Let me just say, Tiffany Haddish was the brightest spot in that film. Every
Oh, we're
time
on
she
number
came on
6.
screen, I was back into it.
Oh, we're on number 6. We're on number 6. Number 6, Justin.
If Tiffany Haddish wasn't in the card counter, the film
Oh
would be
my
worthless.
God.
Oh my God.
Number 6 is my favorite film by this director. In a filmography that lasts thousands of movies, it feels like. That's The Last Duel. Ridley Scott killed it on this. This is a pretty much flawless movie from end to end. I don't have a single issue with this film. Every performance is incredible. The GOAT, Adam Driver, came in, did his thing, the most different performance he's ever done, the most risky performance he's ever done. And there's not a false note in his performance at all. Matt Damon is really good. I didn't even think about that. Matt Damon, 2 for 2 this year on my top 10 list. He picked some great stuff this year, and I think it really paid off in the long run for me personally, because there's just almost not a false note anywhere. If you were to point it, I would say maybe Ben Affleck could tone it down just a tad. I know, controversial opinion. I don't think he's Razzie worthy. Razzie worthy is crazy, but he could tone it down just a little bit. But the final 30 of this movie was intense. There's no score. It's just the sound of metal hitting each other. It's the sound of jousting.
The
It's the
sound of
sound of
2
dirt.
sweaty dudes going at it.
And you don't even have to go on Pornhub to find it. I mean, it's incredible. It's one of the best movies of the year. I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again right now. It's flawless. I love The Last Duel, and it's my favorite from Ridley Scott. I was looking at his filmography before I said that to make sure I didn't love anything else more. Now The Last Duel is number 1 Ridley Scott film for me.
It's the only Ridley Scott movie that I bought this year on Blu-ray.
I bought both of them this year.
Wow, that's your favorite Ridley Scott movie?
Of all time, guaranteed, 100%.
Wow. This man,
That's a bold statement.
this man Ridley Scott has like created 2 movies that are the most influential to every movie that you see, Blade Runner and Alien, or even Gladiator you could throw out there. But I
I would
respect
much
that.
rather watch The Last Duel.
I respect that. I respect that. Ben Affleck, best performance in that film for me. That man kills it. Number
No,
6,
absolutely
Jacob.
not.
Number 6, Jacob.
Number 6, we go to Jane Campion's Power of the Dog. And every time I hear Jane Campion now, I think of her was it the Golden Globes, whenever she called out the sisters.
Critics Choice Awards.
Critics Choice Awards. My brain's still turning on. It's not even that early in the morning, but it's still turning on. Yeah.
You don't have to fight against men.
That was a little cringeworthy to me. And I was like, God damn it, I really liked your movie. Don't make
Bro,
it every time I hear your name.
She did it again at the Oscars.
She did it again at the Oscars. I was like,
When
Jane.
Kevin Costner is sitting there giving it was a bit dramatic with Kevin Costner's speech, but it's fucking Kevin Costner. And then she's like, that was a bit dramatic, Kevin. And it's like, what the fuck? Sorry.
Dude, that was up there with the slap. The slap was just more dramatic, but like, Jesus, just 2 men got destroyed on stage at the Oscars within the span of like 20 minutes. And I'm just like, shit.
The Power of the Dog. What's up?
Man, dude, Power of the Dog. I wrote it in my review. I think that, I think that it helped revitalize the Western in a way to where it gave a new approach. It wasn't this, modern day neo-Western, but it was, that traditional Western in a way to where it brings, modern themes to the silver screen. I think that Benedict Cumberbatch and Cody Smith McPhee, they fucking killed it man. Like the way that they interact with each other and the way that they play off of each other's energies, that's how acting should be. It's not one upstaging the other or one trying to get the standout performance to benefit them. It's what happens whenever you can successfully collaborate with the people around you and you create an energy that feels diegetic, it feels fresh, it feels powerful, it's raw. That's exactly what they did with this film, and I loved it so much. I love Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons' chemistry. I wonder why.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's just this film has so much going for it. The way that we build up towards the the reveal, the rev- the reveal with Benedict Cumberbatch's mentor, the relationship that he had with them, is sort of what he really meant to his character. Uh, it it hit like a rock. It was amazing. It really did capture the emotions that Jane wanted us to feel, and it exceeded.
Yeah. I thought the film was awesome.
It was
It's
amazing.
awesome. Just didn't resonate enough for I think that first hour is just like
The first hour takes a minute, but once
but
you get there,
but I
then
think
it's
yeah, I think like once I rewatch it and I know what the story is, it's gonna like hit me because you're gonna see all the directing choices that she made in the beginning. That's gonna
yeah.
lead to the end, and it's gonna be like,
I went in. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off again,
no,
man.
I was done. Yeah,
Oh, uh, yeah, I went into it kind of spoiled. I didn't like it wasn't confirmed for me, but I was like, isn't this like another sort of like homoerotic western like Brokeback Mountain style? Uh, and it wasn't, but it had this homosexual themes to it, and it played off really well in the beginning. Like if you know
yeah,
you're getting into it, it really heightens everything that's going
yeah.
on.
It makes
I've
part.
seen I've seen Power of the Dog 3 times, still halfway through it. That was a great joke
Well,
from the
What?
Oscars. They
I
said
don't.
I had seen Power of the Dog 3 times and I'm still halfway through it.
Oh,
No.
I don't remember
You're
any of
not.
the. I don't remember any of the
Jeez.
jokes. But my number 6. I wish it was higher, but can't wait for part 2. Dune Part 1, number 6. Needless to say, probably the best directed film of the year. Probably the most biggest film of the year. Best biggest cast, everything just phenomenal, top to bottom. And the reason it's not like top 3, top 1 is, and I hate to do the Justin thing where I hate the part ones, but for this one, you feel the part one. Like you don't, the movie doesn't end in a way that's like, oh my God, can part
It
2
had
get here soon enough? I can't wait. Like, can they just give us part 2? Like, it ended and it was like, awesome, man. But it was like, I think the biggest knack with the film, and I think you guys might agree, and I think a lot of people might agree, is the lack of relatability and connection because it's a massive setup rather than a humanistic story. It's just a massive setup for part 2.
Hmm.
And I think that is the one problem I have with the film.
mhm.
Other than that, it's flawless.
Yeah,
It
I
just
mean,
you just don't connect to it the way you would, for me at least, for Blade Runner or Arrival or Sicario or Prisoners or anything. And that's not to say Dune is worse than those movies. Dune is probably Denis' best directed film, but in terms of that connection to the story, yeah, it just didn't hit that way. So, what are you gonna say
yeah,
though?
I mean, I think that's what Denise sort of knew and understood, that this wasn't really that story that it could have that relatability. Um, and you just gotta get. I think you just had to get in there and show the best parts of that Dune world, because you're talking about a film that people didn't even think could be more than mediocre whenever you adapt it from literature to a cinematic experience.
Yeah,
And so I mean, I definitely got a little bit of those vibes, but just it didn't have that relatability. I'd say though, that wasn't really necessarily an issue I had with it, but I did with the ending. It's sort of like you could feel, like you said, that it was a part 2 movie, where it
yeah,
just it felt like we were in the second act of a larger film.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of ended. I was like, God damn it. I was ready
Yeah.
for this to keep going. Like you had me, Denis. I'd sit down for it.
Like the whole fist fight where he has to kill the dude at the end. After 2.5 hours of sitting in that theater, it's like, you know that the end is near, and it's like, this is a part one. And I think also one of the things that hurts the film for me is I actually don't like whenever movies tell me it's a part one in the beginning, because I actually forgot whenever he got announced to direct the film that he said it was going to be 2 parts. I forgot all about that because I'd been staying away from spoilers and press releases, so I'd forgotten that it was a part one. And then he instantly tells us in the beginning, and I'm like, oh fuck, damn it. I wish he didn't tell me, because maybe I wouldn't have felt it. But yeah, that final battle, you really feel that part.
That part too.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we know this movie's about to end. Like with, and I hate to use this example, but with like Infinity War, that movie ends with people dying, and you're like, this isn't gonna end, is it? And then yeah, Deathly Hallows Part One, Voldemort sticks a stick up in the air, and then it ends, and you're like,
A stick.
that's it.
He
A
sticks
wand,
the elder wand.
a wand.
The elder wand.
He sticks a stick in the air and says, that's it.
I
It
didn't.
is what it is. But
I didn't have no friends in middle school reading Harry Potter books for you to call it a stick.
all right, number 5, Justin.
Number 5 to me is a movie that I I was looking forward to, but I knew it was a different direction for this director because he was stepping into horror a little bit, and I was a little like, how does your director style fit into the horror landscape? And when the credits rolled, I was like, I'm so sorry I doubted you, good sir. As Last Night in Soho, as you said, another film that you loved as well. I like to consider myself an unapologetically Edgar Wright fan who defends everything he does. I think my least favorite Edgar Wright film would be Hot Fuzz, but I still love things in that movie wholeheartedly. And I still don't think he's made a bad movie. He made one of my favorite movies in 2017, which was Baby Driver, and then 2010 and Scott Pilgrim. This film, I was scared because I was like, how does your style of quick editing get to horror? And he did Texas Switches in the Mirror. He got me to listen to London music. I don't. There's a specific genre of London music
London
that I'm not
music.
stepping. There's a specific name for it, but like I was listening to London jazz when that movie ended, and I turned into like a real hipster, and I was like, "Ooh, listen to this music, guys." And I was like, that's all because of Edgar Wright, man. He's such a brilliant director, and he is one of the greatest of all time. He is a guy who reinvents himself just when he gets a little too comfortable in his ways. I think Baby Driver was his final way of saying, "Hey, that Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End editing. I'm gonna let that go for a little bit, and I'm gonna try something new." And when he did, I was like, this is an Edgar Wright film. You can't slap any other director's name on this film." And it's so good. It's so colorful. It looks great in 4K. Everything about it, I'm a huge fan of. So, Last Night in Soho.
I think greatest director, one of the greatest directors of all time. It's a
All time.
little,
All time. I'm saying it.
a little much.
All time. I said it. I said it.
A little much, but
Nope. I agree
I
with
don't.
Justin, would it make you happy to say, or would it make you happy to hear that I've never really liked an Edgar Wright movie?
All right, guys, it's been fun. I gotta go. Jesus Christ. I didn't realize I was on this podcast with fake film fans.
And
Shut
would
What
the
an
fuck up.
outrage.
Fast 9 at number 10.
would it make you happier to,
Quality film.
if I said that I think that Scott Pilgrim is his worst movie?
I think it's his best movie. There you go. I just come with hot takes.
And I think Hot Fuzz is like, if not his best, his second best. Anyways,
No.
number
Anyways.
5, Jacob.
Number 5, I got Justin's favorite movie of the year, Spencer, at number 5. say what you will. I know that Pablo Larraín, whenever it comes to whenever he did Jackie, it was a cerebral biopic, and that was very unconventional for sort of the genre of the biopic. And it's exactly that with Spencer. Don't get me wrong, but with Spencer, it just hits right, man. You feel sort of this overbearing presence of the crown and the royalty that you feel the dread that Diana had, having to deal with it, having to deal with the queen, having to deal with a husband who was unfaithful, yet they cared more about the press release rather than their own humanity. And she feels trapped. They created sort of this this direction through the film of recreating the Overlook Hotel with her being trapped through the holidays with her kids, just wanting to be able to spend time with her family, not the family, but her family. And you see that conflict and it shines through. You see her trauma growing up within the English royalty. And you see just that liberation that she so desperately desires to be able to live amongst the world as regular citizens rather than, be born into what many would consider the rich and glamorous, but to her, it's her own damnation, and it makes everything that happened later in her life, is leading up to her death, that much sadder, man. This puts so much perspective into Diana's life, coming from somebody who didn't really know much about her. This was, my chance to be able to explore the life of Princess Diana, and it blew me away.
Awesome. Another film I had not seen, but I will say I don't know if I will ever watch that one.
Lame.
But that's definitely because I'd seen Jackie, and just I just maybe I will, but it's one of those. It's one of those things where you can look at something and be like, I know I'm not going to like that, so I don't want to put myself in the headspace to try and enjoy it. But
it's a lot like Jackie, but it's
I can acknowledge its greatness in terms of its score, its
direction,
directing.
score,
I can
set
acknowledge all that.
design, acting.
yeah,
I can acknowledge all that, but I'm just saying it's not a film I'd watch on a Saturday night. Like it's a film you have to be in a certain mindset for. And when I saw it, I was in the complete and total. I was on a beach and I was being told to watch Spencer, and I was like, this just doesn't flow with me. So maybe I'm a little harsh on it. Maybe I'll go back in a couple years and watch it. But
for me, my number 5 goes to The Worst Person in the World. Got my foreign film on there. Finally, I have a foreign film in my top 10 after all these years. I respect the foreign world. But I think for me, I think this one was probably the saddest film of the year that I watched, and one of the most exciting films that I've watched, and one of the more fun films that I've watched this year. Like the first half of the film is completely just a blast. You just have fun and you watch this girl go through a very relatable coming of age, and then the second half of the film gets back down to real life, and she has to realize that at some point you have to grow up. And I think that's something that we can all relate to. And so I love the title as well. It's like The Worst Person in the World, and it's not so much saying
And
I think
she's
it's
just like us.
I think I think it's misleading to people that may just look at it and be like, well, she's going to be the worst person in this movie. No, she's not. She does some terrible things, but we're all human. We're all in human nature, and we all go through stuff like that. And it doesn't make her the worst person in the world, but it might make her the worst person in the world to other people. But to see her grow out of that and grow into her shell at the end of the movie, grow out of her shell, I mean, at the end of the movie, was just amazing to kind of like see that story unfold. My only nitpick, and you guys may like it, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a huge fan. This is kind of like pertains to life for me. I don't like being told how much time I have left. And so they tell you at the beginning, it's 12-parter, and with a prologue and an epilogue. And I'm just not a huge fan of that, simply because I don't want to be told how much time I have left in this film. And then it tells you how many parts are in the movie, and then it goes through each part of the movie. It goes part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part on and on until it reaches part. So like the entire film, it's like, oh, I know it's coming to the end, which I'm not a huge fan of that. But that's just me. I know other people might like it. I just don't like being told how much time I have left with something, whether it's driving, whether it's homework, whether it's a test, whether it's a movie. I just don't like it. So yeah, number 5, worst person in the world. Number 4, Justin.
Red Rocket, which I consider to be the realest film of 2021. There are no performances in this movie per se to me. I feel like everybody in this movie is a real person. Even the quote unquote actors in this film who are the side people around Simon Rex. Some of them never acted, some of them had like 2 or 3 gigs before, but these all feel like real people that if I went down South Texas, I feel like I could meet every single one of these people, and they fit this story so well. Some of them feel real sleazy, some of them feel like kind people who are just living their day-to-day life, and some of them got aspirations to go a little higher in life, and they just meet the wrong people. They meet people like Simon Rex who really don't care about you, they just care about money. And if you're the way to money, then so be it. Um, it's shot beautifully. Everyone in it is great. It's a movie that only Sean Baker can do. Just how I said Edgar Wright can only do certain things and then he'll branch out. There's nobody else who could do what Sean Baker does. He is his own he has his own genre of real filmmaking. I just got his first film called Starlet and then Tangerine. So hopefully within the next couple of days or weeks or so, I could watch those films and I could do like a Sean Baker retrospective up on Letterbox. And I would love to talk about him because to me he's the most influential director of our times right now. I think what he does is second to none. I really do.
I know me and Jacob's most influential directors. They are brothers. It starts with an S.
Like to me,
Alright.
I would love to make movies like Sean Baker does. I know who you guys are talking about, and I respect that. But to me, I my loyalties lie with Sean Baker.
Number 4. I got worst person in the world. So I'm coming right after Mike with that. I think Joaquin True did a great just did a great dissertation on, you know, sort of people's own humanity. We sort of we have the question of, best versus worst, good versus bad, what just our own morality, but you realize sort of with this film how interchangeable that can be. You have somebody who is just like everybody else, and to call her the worst person in the world, I think that it stands to reason that he did that because he wants to show through his audiences that your mistakes and your successes, they don't define you. It's sort of the personal imprints that you leave that you leave for the people that you love the most. That's what matters. There's 2 significant, l- you know people in her life that she loved in this film, and one she saw to the very end, even after, this betrayal to their love, and the other one moved on without a second thought. And I think that right there is a different type of nuance to how
Yeah.
relationships end. I love it.
Yeah, I would have loved to seen that actress get nominated for Best Actress.
Same, man.
She
She
was
did a
phenomenal.
phenomenal job.
I'd take out Nicole Kidman for her. Although Nicole's great, I would have taken out her for her. But I think this is interesting. We're getting an interesting part of the list now that we're coming to the end, because now all of us are starting to cross paths. Worst person in the world. And me and Justin are spot on with number 4, Red Rocket, for me. Everything you said about Red Rocket is phenomenal. I'm not going to say he's the most influential director for me, but I do like his style of what he does. It's kind of reminiscent of just documentary filmmaking. He takes a story about real people and shines a light on them with non-actors, and he uses the natives of the area that he's telling. Florida Project, Tangerine. I hadn't seen the other one, Starlet, but with all of his movies, he's only had one real actor in all of his movies, Willem Dafoe and Florida Project, and now Simon Rex and Red Rocket. The rest of the cast is made up of people that have never acted before. And it's amazing to see what a director can do with non-actors. It's amazing to see that they can put on performances like that. And it felt real because it was real. They weren't playing themselves. They were playing a figment of their environment. They were playing things that they knew. And I thought that was super exciting. And I think that film is probably one of the more just realistic things you'll see. And it really ignites what you might think Texas is, and that that Southern kind of trash type of environment that Simon Rex kind of lives in. It's exactly that. And the family that he lives with, his wife that he's not married to, and he ends up trying to fuck an underage girl and all that shit. Like it really is kind of that white Southern trash type of film. Simon Rex is no hero in this film. He is a horrible human being, but Sean Baker finds a way to make you just fall in love with him. And it's so weird, so that's my number 4. Hell yeah. Number 3,
Justin, before you do your number 3.
Number 3, Justin.
Number 3 is, I think, the best musical that's come out in the past 10 years.
In the Heights. In the Heights.
To me, this is the summer movie of all time.
I forgot we already talked about Cyrano. I was just like, anytime you're a musical from Justin, it's Cyrano.
Yeah.
This is the movie of the summer. I saw this movie a month before it actually released. So I think somewhere in May, because I think the film came out in June. So sometime in May, I saw this film for a Mother's Day screening or something like that, or some screening early in advance. And I was like, summer's about to start. I just saw a movie that is like, it has that same mentality that Do the Right Thing does, to where it's the hottest day in the summertime, and we're going to take our movie and set it right there. In the Heights feels hot. Everybody in it is sweating, but they're dancing. It's some of the best music I've heard all year. To me, it was like the best summer movie I had seen, and it still works even in the wintertime. I watched it again during Christmas. Still works. It's a great Christmas movie. Okay, the movie just works all together. I love every song in the movie. To me, John M. Chu is a really great director in terms of outside of Step Up movies, which I still love as well. But Crazy Rich Asians, he told an amazing story. And in this film, I feel like he told an equally as great a story. It works on every single level. Bump this music in your car, watch this movie with the family. There's nothing wrong with it. Flawless.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed that film. I have a lot of singing that I do from it. But that was pretty much it. Just Jacob, number 3.
Number 3. This is one of my more low-key movies of the year. Y'all probably haven't seen it yet, but Dune is my number 3. I mean, what is there to say about this film that hasn't been said already? It got nominated for nearly every damn Oscar that it could get for 2021. That was the film of the year, and still no best director nom, but we live life. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on this film because I feel like we've already really dissected it, but the way that they created an entire world that was comparable to Star Wars on terms of originality and just vibrance, that's an achievement on its own. I think Timothy Chalamet's performance was phenomenal, but a standout was Rebecca Ferguson's. Her playing Paul's mother was phenomenal. It's so hard to put into words just how well she did in the scope of her role. There is so few little bad things that you can say about this film. It's all good, man.
Yep. You know how I feel.
Yeah.
I think it's the most rewatchable film
This year by far.
Yeah, it's a blast. Great double feature, Blade Runner and Dune back to back. Must do. Okay, my number 3, Nightmare Alley. I think behind my number one film of the year. This is the film that I saw the most in theaters. I think I saw it 3 or 4 times in theaters. It is 2.5 hours of just pure spectacle. Guillermo del Toro. I think that the movie has a sensibility to it that is a wonder. You sit there and you wonder, and you kind of ask yourself at the end, what was the point? And then you kind of remember what Guillermo del Toro is all about, and that's that man is the enemy, that man is the monster, and that monsters are not the enemy. And so you're watching that film, and it's like you're legitimately seeing the culmination of man being growing into
This whole monster.
the monster, and I think that's the journey, that's the point of the film, and that's the greatness of it, is that he is kind of in the sense of like Oscar Isaac in The Card Counter. You don't really know his past, you don't know his history, you don't know who he is. There, I love the beginning, because he essentially, spoilers, kills someone, but you don't know who it is, and the movie starts to unfold with information about his past, with who he is, but not too much, and he just continues to grow into a monster, and grow to a point of no return, to where he ends up right back where he started, and the movie kind of goes full circle. And when movies do that, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. One of the best casts of the film, in my opinion, one of the best looking films of the year. It truly is an experience. I think it's, Justin may disagree, but I think it's a great movie theater experience, whether it's with a crowd or not. It's just amazing to see that picture on the big screen. It's fantastic. But yeah, that's my number 3.
Yeah.
Number 2, just here we go. We're getting into it.
Number 2 is a movie that I waited 5 years for, and I had every hope in the world for it. And everyone was like, "What if this movie sucks? What if you're totally wrong about it?" And I was like, "No, it could
Oh,
never."
does this really count?
Yeah, of course it counts. This is
Oh,
a movie just as much as any. This isn't even a movie. It's a film. It's just cinema.
Um,
That is Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I was hoping it wasn't true.
Okay, when you wait for a movie for over 5 years and you're told your movie sucks, your movie doesn't even exist, number one, like, what are you supposed to do? But then it shows, man. You do a little hashtag on Twitter, you blow up Warner Brothers' Twitter page, all of a sudden Warner Brothers goes, give these fuckers what they want. All right,
You
come on,
create a
Zach. Here,
cult.
Zach, here's 70 million. Go do your shit, man. And Zack Snyder was stern in it too. He goes, they wanted me to release my work print version, the one with all the unfinished visual effects. And he said, no, man, my fans need the proper Snyder cut. And so he teased us for so long. And by the time we got it, literally, the song in the trailer, Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, that's what it felt like, man. It felt like we were going to church for 4 hours. It was the best church service I ever had. I loved everything about it. Do I want to restore the Snyderverse? Of course. Of course I do. Is it going to happen? Most likely
No.
not. This is probably the end of the Snyderverse. Thanks, fucking Ezra Miller, fucking it all up.
Yeah, dude. We finally got some steam
And
going with the Snyderverse, and then Ezra. Ezra shows
and
he
who
really
knows
loves
what's
old
gonna
people.
happen? Who knows what's gonna happen with Amber Heard? Ben Affleck doesn't want to come back. The only people who I feel like are game, and maybe these people even aren't, but that's Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa and Ray Fisher. Other than those four, everybody
I
else pretty much dropped off the
all
face
right.
of the earth.
Ray Fisher's out until Walter Hamada leaves.
I think Ray Fisher's done.
Well, sure,
Yeah.
but Ray
He just want to come back with them Warner Brothers executives.
but Ray Fisher is Zack Snyder's boy. Like those two are together forever. Hence
He
why Ray
is.
Fisher is going to be in the next Snyder project. So yeah, do I want to see the story continue? Of course. Is it going to? No. So you know what? I'll hold this movie on a high pedestal for as long as I live. I'll be like, this is a Justice League movie I'll get behind. I love it.
I always say, does it really count? Because it's technically a TV movie.
It's not a TV film. Don't
It's
say that.
it's
This film
techni-
did get released theatrical. I will say there were IMAX screenings across the world,
but it's a TV movie technically. TV
but it's
movies
not a
have
TV movie.
TV movies have been shown in theaters before. Because if that's the case, I would have put a documentary in my top 10 rather than Tick Tick Boom.
Is it
But
not your favorite films of the year?
I
So go
can't,
ahead. There's
Justice
no
League is a
rules.
film.
I'm not saying it's not, but it's technically a TV movie.
Oh.
Technically.
Technically, you're a TV
Then
movie.
any
This is as real.
Then any streaming service movie that came out this year's a TV movie.
Exactly.
Power of the Dog is a TV movie.
Anyways, my brave little knight is number 2. The Green Knight. Dude, I'm about to probably honestly I might throw this on tonight now that I'm looking at that shit.
Goddamn. Me and you're about to have the same top 2.
Yeah, it's pretty predictable with us too. For that top 2. But yeah, Green Knight, man, that it really is so funny. Leading up to it, I was like, I'm not really like before the first trailer came out, I was like, I'm not the biggest fantasy guy. I don't know how I'm gonna like this. Like, people are putting hype behind Green Knight's name, David Lowery, and I'm like, I want to put respect on it, but I don't know how I am about my fantasies, man. And then the trailer dropped, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're getting into. And then I stepped into the theater. I sat down on those cushiony Stonebriar seats, and I went, oh, okay, this is what we're getting into. And then the credits roll, and I was like, oh, okay. That was some fire shit. Dude, this film, man, it was amazing. It was this anecdotal odyssey of just the character finding not only his own knighthood, but his own manhood, figuring out how it, what it means to have humility and honor in a time that had neither. We look upon King Arthur as sort of that last standing mythological rock of honor during these medieval dark ages and bringing a light through that darkness for people through his stories. Though he's completely fictional, his story is so great and so grand that even for me, I was still like I still have to like give an occasional Google search. Like I was like, was he fake though? I feel like he's real. No, he's fake, but like he's kind of real though. And you see that exactly with Dev Patel's character too. It's just these people, they feel as grand as they are, they feel down to earth and they feel real. Maybe not the mythological giants and shit, but Dev Patel's character, the Sir Gawain. I apologize for forgetting his name, but Sir
Gawain.
Gawain, shut the fuck up. Sir Gawain.
Fake Green Knight fan.
It's either or. It's either or.
Anyways, man. All in all, man, this is one of the films to where I've had nothing but good thoughts about it, and also a heated argument with Michael about how the ending went.
Yeah, it was. It's still technically an argument, but I've come around on your side after watching the movie a few more times at home. But number 2 for me is the Green Knight. I'm sitting right next to Jacob watching that film, and I don't think like once. It's like there's films that you have that's like sometimes you'll lift that watch up and you'll check it, be like, what's going on? I did that for Dune. Or maybe you might get a text message and you'll just be like, who the fuck just texted me? But you'll put it right back. For the Green Knight, dude, I didn't even recognize that there was a world that I was in. I was in that world that David Lowery created right there. Like for 2 hours, I was stuck. I was like stuck, man. And every time I watch it, I'm still am like, there's just I don't think David Lowery has ever missed. Yes, Pete's Dragon is phenomenal for a Disney film. B, this is probably the most disrespected film of the entire year. People love it, but A24 chose not to campaign for this one to go for the Oscars, and I think they should have. I think that if you release this film later on in the year, and I think that if people go and check it out and they go see it, I think that this is one of the more highly nominated Oscar films of the year. Yeah. The craft behind it is better than anything I personally saw in Power of the Dog. I won't say Dune, I think, or West Side Story. I think Dune and West Side Story are just phenomenally directed, but The Green Knight just had something to it that was just like, where are your nominations? I'm talking like no award show because A24 chose not to push this one. They only kind of pushed their movie, it didn't come out in the award season. So it's just, it was sad. And I'm like, how does the makeup and hairstyling not, or costume design or anything, not get a nomination for just what they did with the Green Knight?
Fucking cinematography, dude. Everything about this movie just stood out, man.
Just stood out. I mean, even for, I won't say it's low budget, but even for quote unquote an independent film, the visual effects were phenomenal. Like the cinematography was phenomenal. Like everything. Like I never really liked a movie that chose to shoot in a wide angle like that. They shot that entire movie at a wide angle, 18 millimeter lens, just completely entranced, just the entire time. You're like, what the fuck? And then you had the fucking title sequences throughout the movie. The score was phenomenal. Where's the love for the Green Knight? I don't know, but I'm glad me and Jacob love it. Number 2 film of the year. And had the number 1 film I have not come out, Green Knight would be number 1 for me. And so speaking of the number 1 film, I think I know me and Jacob have had an entire podcast on that. And for time's sake, let's talk a little bit about that. Then me and you will talk about Licorice Pizza a little bit, and then we'll let Justin take the final to tell us his number 1. But I'm right though, right? Your number 1 is Licorice Pizza, or am I just?
It's actually Encanto. Yeah,
but
Licorice Pizza.
I think, again, if you guys haven't heard, me and Jacob have a whole 2.5-hour conversation about Licorice Pizza. Same thing for me with the Green Knight. I was completely thrown into the back of my chair, the sunken place for this film.
Yeah,
it just threw me back. I've seen this movie more than anything I saw last year. I think I saw it 4 or 5 times in theaters. When it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm probably going to watch it over and over and over. Hopefully there's a commentary. I don't think there is. It's just BS that there won't be a commentary, but doesn't matter. That film is still one of the very best films I have seen in the last decade, maybe the last 20 years. That is my type of movie. So go check out our podcast on Licorice Pizza. I can almost guarantee me and Jacob will be doing a Licorice Pizza podcast whenever the Blu-ray comes out, just to do the movie, just to talk about it.
Why not, right?
Why not? Because we just fucking love that movie. What's your thoughts?
Oh shit! I don't know. I thought you were talking to Justin.
No. Yeah. What's your thoughts on
Licorice Pizza? It's so hard to talk about this movie and not bring anything new to the table that we didn't on the podcast. It's just, dude, it's hard to get one of those films that's mesmerizing to where simultaneously you don't know where it's going, but you're so happy with it just because you don't want the ride to stop. You do that through creating authentic characters in an authentic environment, and it's because I think that this is something that Paul Thomas Anderson, in a way, he's been building up his entire career. You look at him in nearly every single damn film that he's done, other than There Will Be Blood, and maybe, am I missing one more? That wasn't in the San Fernando Valley. Was The Master? That Master wasn't in San Fernando.
The Master and There Will Be Blood, and yeah, that's it. Those are the only ones he hasn't done.
Everything else, or is Phantom Thread too?
Oh yeah, Phantom Thread.
Yeah, other than his big period pieces, The Master's 1950s. But I mean, anyways, his period pieces, those aren't San Fernando Valley, but anything that has to do with just whenever he grew up, 1970s Hollywood all the way through. That's him, man. And you really see it again with this. This was based off of Gary Hostovich.
Goatsman?
Oh shit. Who was I thinking?
I don't know.
I was going. We'll cut that out. I was trying to remember the last name, and I went for like the most Jewish sounding name I could think of.
Gary Goatsman. Oh man.
I didn't want to Google it.
Yeah.
We'll cut that out. Fuck, dude.
Gary Goatsman.
Gary, sorry, dude, that shit was funny. Gary Ghostman, a friend that Paul Thomas Anderson grew up with during his early adulthood, childhood. It's pure anecdotal vignettes of just the stories that Gary told Paul growing up, just what he experienced in San Fernando Valley. It's just fun, man. It is a fun movie to watch. Every single character is fun. I know that Justin will disagree, but it's a fun fucking movie, man.
Yeah, it's a blast. I everything you just said, I agree with. Like, dude, I could go on and on about this movie, but Justin, you get the final say. You get the final take and everything. What is your number one film of 2021?
I'm gonna piggyback off something real quick. I do want to do a rewatch of both those movies. Number one, I The Green Knight just kind of washed over me. I didn't really think about it after. I feel like it is fair for me to go back. And then Licorice Pizza, another one that just kind of washed over me and I never thought about it again. I do owe those films a rewatch. They weren't in my honorables. They weren't in my favorite films of 2021. They're just somewhere in the middle of the road. So I do owe those films another rewatch. It just didn't connect with me on my first viewing. But my my favorite film in 2021, I had an Apple TV Plus subscription, the trial, because I bought a new iPhone. And I watched every other Apple TV original besides this one. And literally, my subscription was going to end in 2 days. And I was like, do I need to watch this film? And everybody and their grandmother told me yes. And I was like, fine, I guess. It just didn't speak to me in any trailers, in any marketing they did, never spoke to me. When credits rolled on this film, sure, it's a story I had seen before, but damn if they didn't do it in a more powerful way. We could talk about spoilers because it won Best Picture, but there's a scene in Coda.
Oh, now he mentions the movie.
Of course, I had to do a lot of build up. There's a
Yeah,
scene in
dude. The
Coda that
closest
is
that we got was just it was an Apple TV movie. My subscription was running out.
there's a scene in Coda where they're on the back of a Ford pickup truck, and he wants to hear his daughter. Wants to hear his daughter, but he's deaf, of course. So how are you going to do it? And he puts his hand right on her throat, and he cries and breaks down because he's finally hearing his daughter's passion. That one scene right there should speak volumes for what that film speaks to, literally, and what that film does. It's the most powerful scene I've seen in all of film, I would argue. It's beautifully done. The whole film is expertly put together and heartwarming. And it to me, I would love to rewatch it, but I don't have an Apple TV Plus subscription anymore, so I can't watch it anymore. And it probably won't get a Blu-ray. But I wanted to say this real quick. I was looking at the Best Picture winners from the moment the Oscars had their inception to Coda. And if Coda is my number one favorite film of the year, the Oscars have not picked my favorite film of the year as Best Picture since 1997, when Titanic won Best Picture. So this marks a whole thing, a whole new chapter for me. I have not put one Best Picture winner at number one since 1997's Titanic. Granted, did I ever see all the films in 97? No, but to me, this is the one time in almost 15 years, no, sorry, 20 plus years, that the Oscars got it right with Best Picture. They come very close. I'm looking at 2014's Birdman. They came very close, but they missed it by Boyhood. 2016, they got even closer with Moonlight, but they missed it by La La Land. They almost gave it to La La Land, but they're almost getting so close every year. And this year, I feel like the Oscars finally got it right with the Best Picture of the year. So I'm very satisfied with 2021 in a nutshell. I think it was a great year, and 2022 already has three really good heavy hitters.
Wait. Are you gonna watch the original Coda?
Maybe if I get around to it, hell yeah, I will.
I had no idea. It was apparently, Jacob, Coda is an adaptation of a French movie. I could be wrong, or a Greece movie. I don't know. And it's apparently, from some people I've heard that have seen it, it's almost like shot for shot. the exact same movie, just the American version. That kind of turned me off a little bit. I don't like shot for shot remakes, but if I ever watch that original, which I actually might, I'll be able to compare. But I don't know if you've seen Coda, Jacob. It's a great story. It's a great story. Definitely not your type of movie. And I think it's a little too, like Justin said, familiar. But it's a great story. I don't think it should have won Best Picture, obviously, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that and Red Rocket were like the big two in the lists of y'all's two lists that I hadn't seen yet.
Red
I'll
Rocket
probably-
for sure. Go see
yeah,
that.
I'm gonna do exactly what Justin was talking about. I'm gonna do just sort of a Sean Baker, just highlight, just watch all of his stuff and really get to dissect him as a director. Coda, it's a little conventional for me, but
That's
I'll check it. I'll check it out.
it's definitely not your speed. But that's awesome, Justin. I'm glad you liked the movie. Glad you loved it. A lot of people loved it. Obviously, it won Best Picture. So, all righty, that is our top 10 people. And through time's sake, we got about 5 minutes left. Let's end it how we've always ended the other podcasts. But quickly, Justin, what you been watching lately since the last time, or at least in the last week or so? What you been watching?
I have no idea. I wasn't prepared.
Oh
Hang on.
God. You don't remember what you
Somebody go
watched?
first.
What comes
my
off the
God.
top of your head? All right,
I'll
Jacob.
go. Start off with just fun, significant watches. I watched. I'll just go down the list, man. I watched X, Nice Guys, Star Wars Episode 3, Boogie Nights, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Ambulance.
Bullshit.
You have not watched Ambulance.
I watched the first hour and a half. of
You
Ambulance.
need to go finish it. You need
I
to.
watched the first hour and a half of Ambulance. Oh yeah, what I watched what the fuck? I also watched Midsummer. I forget to log it. I watched Midsummer 2 days ago, and I watched A Quiet Place last night. Honestly, it was really fun rewatching A Quiet Place. It's sort of that independent horror, but it's John Krasinski doing it. So it just, I don't know, it has like that special place in my heart. That's John Krasinski's movie, man. But I've been trying to watch a lot of movies that just like, movies that were fun to me. Just trying to have fun this month with the movies that I watched rather than, just strictly doing things for research purposes. Sometimes you forget that we're doing movies because we love them. And I wanted to revitalize that. I want to re-explore, that same love that I talked about and just watching the movies that have always stuck out with me. And it was really fun being able to show Braylee Boogie Nights. After we watched X and she loved it, I'll say, dude, you're gonna love Boogie Nights. It's a fucking trip of a movie, man.
You showed someone Boogie Nights without me?
Yeah.
Wow.
I told her all about Mark Wahlberg's third arm. And she was like, the third arm is never coming. That shit doesn't exist. And at the very end, he pulls out that third arm. And that shit's a third fucking arm, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I need to speak on Ambulance for just a second. I really want to do a podcast for that movie. Me and Justin have talked endless about that. You need to go finish it. Whether I'll go sit with you, man. You really walked out of you missed arguably one of the most shocking and just what the fuck scenes.
First off,
cinema. There's a surgery scene.
To give context, it was 2:30 in the morning.
Don't go see it. Don't go see it then.
Shut up. I remembered halfway through it that I had an assignment due at 8 in the morning. I was like, dude, I'm gonna stay awake for either or. There is no both in this situation. So I bit the bullet. I got up, went home, half-assed my fucking production binder, and I went to bed.
Dude, you missed that surgery scene. Just when you see it, you're literally gonna go, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, there is nothing you've ever seen before that's gonna do that.
Is it surgery on the douchebag? What's his name?
No spoilers, bro. Like, you just need to go see it. It is shocking what he does. That movie is absolutely a blast. Probably the most fun
Someone-
I will have in a movie all fucking year.
Someone kind of spoiled it. I heard something about like a hairpin or a hair clip.
No spoilers, man. No spoilers. How the fuck do you get spoiled so easily? Like,
People
I mean,
just talk. People just talk to me about movies, man. Like fucking John came
Don't-
up. He's like, "Dude, did you see Ambulance?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I got." And then he just fucking spilled the beans. I was like, oh,
don't fucking listen to them, man. Just tell them to shut the fuck up. God, I guess Ambulance is a movie you care about, but yeah,
nah,
dude,
that shit was so tight. I was talking to Mike at least for the bits that I did watch. I call it the James Wan shot, or even the Sam Raimi shot, which is sort of like how the camera just feel like you fly up with this point of view. The camera's like it's its own entity, and then it returns back down to the ground. Like you kept doing this, like it's going up the skyscraper, then flying right back down. That shit, it was so unnecessary, but so fucking cool.
I mean, I feel you on that, but I I call that the Michael Bay shot. That man literally he took drones, and half of the movie is just a drone doing whatever. Like there is some cool ass drone shots in this one. Like there is a car flip, and the drone operator goes under the car. It is so first person point of view at one point. You're like, what the fuck, man? I almost just got hit by a car. You're flying full speed ahead, and
I
this
know what
car
that's
goes.
like. I'll be able to
Your
I'll be able
car
to
it
confirm
goes
or deny.
over, and it's like, oh fuck. There's some crazy shit.
Yeah, dude. I
Anyway,
know.
I've been watching some Linklater. Watched Apollo 10 and a half. Check it out. It's on Netflix. It's his new movie. Phenomenal. That's his Licorice Pizza, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, kind of nostalgic, longing for the 60s and 70s type film. Animated. Fantastic. Everything Everywhere at Once, Girls Trip, Swiss Army Man, Bridesmaids, Mid-90s, Lady Bird, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, American Graffiti. Queen of Basketball on YouTube. It's a short documentary. I almost cried. It was absolutely phenomenal. Steph Curry and Shaquille O'Neal produced it. Nominated, I think it won the Oscar for best short documentary short. It was fantastic. Watched Heaven Knows What by the Safdie brothers. That's a wild movie. That's a wild movie. Kind of like the Sean Baker style, but a little bit more dramatic of just taking real people and filming them. It was kind of crazy. I think in that one, the only real actor in that movie is Caleb Landry Jones. Everybody else is like actual, like heroin addicts, dope heads, like actual people. Yeah, it's a wild movie. It's on YouTube. Watch it. Check it out.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I've been watching. Watched Slacker and Clerks as well yesterday. And I told Justin yesterday I was watching Linklater's very, very first film. It's called It's Impossible to Learn to Plow by Reading Books. That is, I don't know how to explain that one. It's not super enjoyable. Sorry, Linklater, but it is a cool look into someone that just really wants to make movies. He just really wanted to make a movie, so he made a movie. And yeah, that's what I've been watching. Justin, did you figure out what you've been watching?
I did. I'm only going to highlight three. If you want to know everything I've been watching, Jay Keller 1998 on Letterboxd. But I'm only going to shout out three of them. The first one is Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is the craziest film you'll see all year. Sure, that's low hanging fruit. To me, it's the movie that touched me in a way I don't even think the directors wanted to. It was a movie that made me think of my own mom and the way she parented me. And I related to Michelle Yeoh on almost every single level. Michelle Yeoh is the definitive Asian mother. The daughter walked in and not saying anything to her, almost just looking at her without missing a beat. She says, "You need to lose weight." That shook me to my core. I said, let me sit back up in my chair and pay attention to this movie. It hit me on a deep personal level. Love everything about that film.
I really got ahead of us there for a little bit.
What's the
All
other
right, here,
movie
I'll
you
say
watched?
this. So I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I loved it, and it's great. And the Daniels need to keep going and rock on to the Daniels. Love it. Michelle Yeoh, best actress of the year so far. My number two film that I saw that I'm going to talk about is called I Spit on Your Grave. This is a film that is made in 1972 and was the first film to be a revenge thriller per se. And it's quite possibly the most graphic film of the 70s. It's the most in your face film of the 70s. And it's not a film you'd ever want to watch again, but it is a film that you need to experience at least once and then put it on a shelf and never touch it ever again. It's vivid, it's in your face, it's graphic, and as a huge horror fan, it is quite possibly the most disturbing film ever made. That and The Last House on the Left. The last film I want to talk about is a Sundance film from 2021. It's called Pleasure. It is a Swedish film, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. It's a film that's not made by Americans, we'll say. And it's a film about the porn industry. And it's a film that actually shows nudity, not just in women, but in men as well. And depicts graphic sex, but with no penetration. So it still flies under the radar. A24 had this film at first, and they were going to release a censored version and an uncensored version. And they were basically told no. So they dropped the rights to it and they let it go. And the film got lost in distribution. Then Neon picked it back up. And Neon is doing the complete uncensored version out and about in the world. And it doesn't really tell you anything you didn't already know, but to see it visually is something that I didn't think I'd see in a mainstream film. Kind of. Is it mainstream? Who knows? Is it indie? Sure. But it's a vivid thing to see. Again, a movie you only want to see once and then probably never again. But it's pretty freaking good.
Awesome. Awesome. And that concludes our first episode in a few months. Hopefully we will continue to get back to our once a week. I would like to thank Jacob and Justin for being on this podcast. It's been fun. I did write down y'all's top 10, so let me go through it really quick to just kind of remind people. For Justin, his top 10 would be F9, Cyrano, Stillwater, West Side Story, The Last Duel, Last Night in Soho, Red Rocket, In the Heights, Snyder Cut, and Coda #1. For Jacob, it would go 9 Days, Tragedy Macbeth, Pig, Drive My Car, Power of the Dog, Spencer, Worst Person in the World, Dune, Green Knight, and Licorice Pizza as the #1. And for me, it'd go Tick, Tick, Boom, No Time to Die, Last Night in Soho, The Card Counter, Dune, Worst Person in the World, Red Rocket, Nightmare Alley, The Green Knight, and Licorice Pizza #1. That is our top 10 of 2021. Next year, we'll be doing 2022. So hopefully movies get better and better and more exciting. And maybe, just maybe, I might have a movie be better than Licorice Pizza. I doubt it, but we'll see. But with that, thank you guys for listening. It's been fun. My name is Michael. Jacob.
My name's Steve. I'm Jacob. Sorry. I've been having a Moon Knight phase lately.
That's Jacob. That's Justin.
Justin Keller or Jake Keller, 1998.
I forgot your
Letterboxd. Go
name
follow
for
me
a
for my hot takes.
This has been the Double Bill Awkward Ending. Awkward Ending 2.